What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about mount escapes. Mount escapes are going to be something that you're going to have to learn. You know, you're never going to be able to fully feel like you know jiu-jitsu until you can get out of like any position with the mount. And while this isn't going to be all of the ways to escape the mount, this is going to be the ways that you could slowly and steadily escape the mount. We're going to talk about 2 ways that we're going to do this. And the most central thing to this technique is going to be getting our legs wrapped around their legs in the way that we collect their knee. And we're going to talk about 2 ways to knee collect. And we're going to do 2 little drills to warm up. One when we have an ankle and one when the guy is posting. So the first one, Jules is mounted on me, but he's mounted on me and I've already gotten to the position where my leg is straight on the ground and I've collected his ankle. So if we're in this position, I need to learn how to get to his knee. So if I'm here, it's really simple what we're going to do. I'm going to frame, push, square my hips. Boom. Now I'm in a position where I can push his knee. And we're going to get to a position we're going to get real familiar with in a later class, class 10. The half guard, where I'm here. We're going to be able to take the back from here and a couple other things. Right? So let's do it one more time. You change the angle a little bit. I'm on my side, and I have his ankle in between my legs. I want to frame on his hip. And I'm going to use my feet on the ground to sort of move my hips under his knee. Always think about it like a flathead paintbrush in a paint can, opening it up. I keep my heels tight to my butt, as tight as I can, and you could just use one leg to control it. I don't need to keep my ankles crossed, but as long as my ankles are real tight, I push his hip, get him a little bit back, and move my hip under 1. I might need to do 2, might need 3, but now that his knee's up, I'm able to push it. If I want a little assistance and I have the mobility, I can use my shin in front of his ankle to push it down. And right away, we don't want to get caught on our back, so we push his shoulder away from us. We use our knee to connect, and we have what's called a half guard. We're going to talk about this in depth, like I said, class 10. So let's reverse roles. I'm mounted on coach. Look, I could be me between his legs, and I just take a knee over, and both my knees are pretty much on the ground. He frames on my hip. Nice. He's going to just, look, if my posture is really high up, it'll make it a little bit weird balance-wise. So bad guy, when you're here, the guy who's, trying to be the mount guy, hands on the ground to distribute your weight, but Julian shouldn't have a problem with this either way. He's going to be able to shrimp under me, boom, push my knee between his legs, and right away assume the half guard position. You don't want to just start laying flat on your back. He wants to have his knee shield up, right? And then if you think about it, he's controlling both sides of my upper body. His knee comes to the shoulder that the knee's closest to, and his hands go to the shoulder that is closest to his head. Ultimately, he doesn't want my hand to control his collar or hug his head. So he needs to be really aware because this grip is kind of a losing grip. So we don't even want to, we don't want to let him that happen. So he might have one hand on my shoulder, one hand on my wrist. If this is just no-gi, he doesn't need to worry about me grabbing his collar, right? Okay, so that's collecting the knee when you have an ankle. Sometimes we're going to create a situation where we're not controlling the ankle, but we're going to get control of that knee anyway. We're going to talk about that next. So the other drill we're going to practice is this one. So I'm on top of coach, and instead of having my ankle, my leg's going to be posted. This could be something that I usually going to have my leg posted in reaction to something he's done to me, maybe trapping my arm and like trying to roll me off. But it's going to be really easy for coach to bring his knee through this little hole, and then without even bringing his foot out, what I think people try to do is to try to take the foot out. Yeah, which is possible, but you don't need to, and it's quicker. He's just going to use this and square up against me. Boom, in the process, his foot can come out, and he gets the half guard. Boom, and it's the same half guard we're doing. Right? So one more time. So I'm mounted on coach, one leg up. My hand could be on the ground. Yeah. Boom, he brings his knee through, squares up. Boom. Takes out. Cool. Preparatory drill. These are both really important moves to get. If you could be quick with them, that's good. This is the most important part of the class, so make sure you feel like you're really comfortable with this, and then we're gonna take it from the top. Cool, guys, so we're gonna learn our standard elbow escape. You're gonna see that the hardest part of this technique will be ultimately getting our feet in the position to where they're flat and we can catch the ankle and sort of resemble the first knee collection sort of situation we talked about. So if somebody's mounted on me, my goal is gonna not be to get the ankle. My goal is to get my leg flat on the ground and on my side. That's my goal. So when coach is mounted on me, we're gonna talk about how to get there. So he can do a number of things with his feet, whether his ankles are crossed, whether he's doing very tight Gracie style hooks, whether he's doing wrestling grapevines, right? We're gonna talk about how to deal with all three of those situations, right? So let's say this person is monitoring the inside of my legs, Gracie style, with heavy hooks, maybe one anchor and one base. Yes, watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take both my feet and I'm gonna go to the sky. Once they're there, coach's hooks kind of don't matter anymore. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a cross ankle post. I'm gonna put my foot on his opposite ankle and I'm gonna use that to pin it, and I'm gonna start moving to my side. I use my elbow, I use a lot of different stuff to turn on my side, right? It's even better if we could not have to clear those hooks, but we're here. I lay my foot flat on top of my ankle, and see how my toes are wiggling on top of his heel? Where my leg that's laying flat is, it's not under his hook. So I'm able to get my leg flat really quick. And now that I'm flat on my side, coach can try to do a lot of things. He can have a heavy ankle, right? He can have a super light ankle.
Heavy knee.
Yeah, heavy knee, right? He could have toes on the ground. We're gonna start with toes on the ground because that's the easiest. First things first, I need to be able to reach his toes with my feet to drag it or to hook it. But if his legs are all the way up in my armpit, I'm cooked. So what I always have to do is I have to put my elbow in front of his knee and keep it down. I gotta keep my elbows to my ribs and elongate so that his ankle's somewhere where I could reach it. And if I'm here and I still can't reach it, I could do a crunch and that'll move it. So now we're gonna deal with his foot. Let's say it's heavy.
Flat.
Let's say it's heavy ankle, but toes on the ground. I could do something called the heel drag, where I take my heel and I drag his ankle in. Now we're in position to do our warm-up drill, where we square up and get half guard. You're gonna see that this part of the technique is the hard part. The squaring up, that's easy. If coach knows what he's doing, he's getting out of here before it gets here. He knows to kind of pull the ripcord. Right? So, okay, let's say we're here and I got my leg flat and I'm on my side, but I can't drag his heel. His foot's straight and his ankle's super flat to the ground. I'm gonna dig my toes in between the two of us and then I'm gonna arch my toes up. I'm gonna do like that here. Now I could lift it, put my knee under his shin. Now he can't lower it, right? Take it, and then we're back in our position to where we could escape, right? Sometimes the person, let's go back one more time, coach, will have a heavy knee but a light foot. So I got here and I hooked it and he's just super light with it. That's fine, same deal. I could just put my knee under it so he can't bring it back down, catch it, and then switch my hips. Cool. So this kind of escape is good for when they're using each of their legs like independently, right? But also like intelligently. We're gonna also see, we'll see in just a second, we'll get there. So let's if you haven't seen the class for mount controls, we learned this kind of control, but as a bad guy, let me get you on your back. Really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take both my feet and lift them up to the sky. I'm not trying to turn my toes and stretch out like that. That's called grapevines, right? And I'm not crossing my ankles. That's a little bit different too. I'm having each individual. Usually when we're controlling like this, one's really high and the other knee is out. We'll talk about that and you'll understand it more when you've seen the class. But this is the elbow escape for this situation. So let's try it. Cool, so now that we have escaped one-on-one smart legs, what if we have grapevines? grapevines are the most aggravating. So coach is mounted on me, and he's like hooking my shins and stretching like crazy. Okay, so whenever we're in this position, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So almost exactly like what we just did. He's got me here, but you're gonna see that you're not gonna be able to just kick your legs out like normal. So I have to pick the direction I want first. So if I want to escape one leg, I'm gonna have to do something that's kind of contradictory because I gotta free my helper leg first. So if I want to escape to my right side, I need to free my left side first. And you don't need to really think of it like that. Just watch what you're gonna do. You're gonna point both your legs in one direction, and the leg that's on the bottom of those directions kicks straight, and he can't follow me. Safety tip, if the bad guy on top is stretching too hard, he could hurt him on. I could hurt him because he's stretching so hard and so connected to me, so be careful. But now that I got this leg free, it's kind of like the first escape we did, except where I lifted my leg up, I can't do that with this because you're gonna still be grapevining, right? But it's fine because I could step on it, boom, and now free it, lay it on top, frame his hips, get my leg flat, catch his ankle, whether it's with a heel drag, a scoop, right? So that's pretty simple. Say you're laying on your back, coach. I got grapevines. I'm hooking his legs real crazy. He points both his knees in one direction. Now ask yourself, yeah, which one's the bottom one? The bottom one kicks out, boom, and now he goes all the way over here to step, get his leg flat, frame my hips, collect my knee. So you're freeing the helper first, and then you're going back to what you already know. But the problem, thank you, coach, the problem with the grapevines is they're just so strong that it's really demoralizing. You gotta have confidence that when you pivot your legs the right way, it doesn't have to be a huge shift. It doesn't have to be from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. You're at 12 o'clock, right? You just kind of need to go to 11 o'clock. It doesn't need to be extreme. It's gonna get you out enough, right? Cool, so let's give that one a try. All right, so the last escape where we're gonna learn to collect the ankle to get the knee line is when they have their ankles crossed. And this one can be really aggravating, but this one's not very hard to deal with. But there's kind of like two ways to do it. So, coach is mounted on me with his legs crossed, and we're gonna do this angle so you can see. When his ankles are crossed, he's always gonna have one that's on top and one that's on the bottom. So by scraping his leg, I could feel that there's nothing to catch, so that must be the top one. So I scrape the other way and I feel something, that's his heel. That's something I could use my feet to power off, right? And then start working to get my legs flat. So this is a funny position we have because now we're gonna end up with this inside control. This inside control, you could do certain things to get your leg flat really quickly, right? But that's gonna be a new style of race for you. So coach, you try to get hooks as I try to get my leg flat. So me framing on his heels, his knees is gonna stop him from really being able to dig. If I'm pushing on his knees, go to dig your heels in, you're kind of limited in your range of motion. Yeah, you can't reach. But if I'm here, go to dig, yeah, exactly. So I'm framing on his thighs, right? And I'm working to get my leg flat. There's lots of ways to do it. The simplest would be to use a cross lift it, and then straighten your leg before you can get in there, right? And then now we're back to square one, where we're already used to being. The situation happens sometimes where his ankles are crossed and they're on the ground. And like there's like almost like it's kind of super hard to hook it. So this situation is a little bit different. I want to find the bottom one, so I know that this is the top one because I could hook it. I want to find the bottom one and lay both legs on that leg. So as I get to this position and lay both my legs on his bottom leg, it's easy for me to peel it by opening his legs. And then now you can kind of see that it kind of gives me the bottom position. So one more time, he's got his ankles crossed, and maybe he's just like kind of extending them away from me, maybe to where it's hard, no problem. Kind of push his knee and just lay your legs flat on his bottom leg. Open, and then look, oh, there we are. Boom, really easy. And then same situation. Boom. Half guard's a nice place to be, defensive-wise.
There's lots of people who get really good at half guard. It's my opinion that it's good to be good at half guard, but you need to have your guard be a little bit higher level. So like, that's like the last line before you get your guard passed. Don't be satisfied with half guard. Find a guard to go to, whether it's closed guard, whether it's entering under the legs, whether it's wrestling up, that you're gonna be able to work with more than just half guard. But it's a really good spot to be in defensively, for sure. So now that we've talked about how to collect the ankle, now we're gonna talk about what to do when they're making that process more difficult. So we're gonna get into that next. Cool. So we've seen that whenever I'm trying to collect his ankle, I gotta do this crunch motion to make sure that his knee and all that good stuff is framed, right? One thing he can do to stop that is to cross face me real good and completely stop my frames from being effective. When we see this, we have an opportunity to threaten an off balance. And while the off balance might work to somebody who's completely like sold on it, more than likely is gonna open up that first avenue again of collecting the knee. And it's the second drill we talked about. So like, let's say I'm mounted on coach and he's trying to collect my leg, he's framing on me, and he's here and I cross face him. Well, he has an opportunity now. He could take his legs and put them in a new configuration. He could move to trap and roll configuration, where he takes his leg he's trying to get on the bottom, put it on the top and block. So now my leg's locked. I got a cross face going. He could trap my arm. And while it's not gonna be a forever lock, because I could rip out eventually, if he bridges and he goes quick, boom, he's taking the top position. That's the best case scenario. He could do everything perfect, right? We teach whenever we're here to flare the knee, strong, right? We teach when we're here to grab the bicep, pull down, release the pressure on the neck. We teach to hide the foot so I can't grapevine it, which is a common bad guy behavior. We teach to bridge by doing, look, you could do it all perfect, but if the person is just like a shaved hot dog of a person, they're gonna slip something out. Doesn't matter. Maybe their shaved leg that's shaped like a hot dog, could be their arm. That's one consistent, could be one greasy noodle. He slips it out, right? If I slip my hands out, he can go straight back to the elbow escape. Because think about it, what was the real problem? The cross face. It's not there anymore. Threatening the roll solved the problem, right? But if I rip my leg out, well, look at what we got here. The drill we did, zoop, just right here. And look, coach, his initial reaction was to keep the butterfly hook. That's not wrong. That's not wrong. It's just beyond what we're doing today. But if you feel comfortable with the butterfly, that's good. Just make sure you're not going to get smashed doing it, because the leg position matters. A lot of stuff matters. So one more time. I'm out on coach.
Switch direction.
You switch sides. I was kind of just like conceptualizing like how to. So we're mounted. Boom. Could be that I got a cross grip on his collar. In this case, he wants to do a different trap and roll. He traps my elbow, traps my tricep, blocks the foot the same, and goes. Boom, my leg's a lot likely to come out in that situation. I'm likely to want to take his back because I got his collar and all this stuff. So this trapping frame becomes more of a hip frame again. You want to make sure I can't round the corner. I'll round the corner if I get my belly button past his elbow knot. So he wants to keep here. If he stays here, I can move my arm and let him do the work for me as I move in and pass that line, right? So he's got to know when the tide changes a little bit. He's able to bring his knee through the hole, boom, turns and faces me. Good, nice, half guard. Cool, so that's how you escape the mount, guys. Like I said, there's lots of different ways to do it. You can look online, look at the kipping method. You could look at, what do they call it when the hand's on the hips, but it's not kipping?
Not sure.
There's a lot of hip escapes out there. But get good at these, you won't need a whole lot. In fact, you start on the right path if you win that first little battle where you're like working for the inside position with the flat leg. A seasoned guy is gonna start, or girl, is gonna start to think about how to get out of there and progress. So a lot of times you won't go through the whole series. So if you're more focused on the tail end of this and not the beginning, you might be thinking about it in a way that needs to get sort of, reconfigured. Think about the first little part of it, because that's where you're gonna be able to start turning the tides. Cool, guys. So you're gonna see that sometimes things are working out so good. You got the ankle controlled, you switch, you got the half guard. But when it comes time to put our frames up and block the shoulders, they're already upon us. It's a terrible situation. We're flattened out, and it's basically like side control. Well, it might feel like it's side control, but there's a trap and roll there because they're giving you a gift. So let's say coach is half guarded on me and cross faces me here. Boom. He's got an underhook under my arm here. So let me show you what it looks like. Probably kind of hard to see. Let's do it one more time. Switch sides so they can see. Boom. This guy's got me here. Boom. Oh wait, this is the original side.
That's all right. Turn. Switch legs.
This guy's got me here. So the arm I'm going to be trapping is the one by my armpit. The difference we're going to make, right, is what to do with the legs. So I want to switch my legs. So the leg that's on the outside, I need to drape it over. So the inside leg needs to control the half guard leg, Julian's half guard leg, until the last second. So the leg moves from the crook of his knee, like the knee cave, to around his ankle. And I still got a good control over him. He can't just step away. But in that space I just let happen, I put my heel in, I put my foot in. Now I got it. So watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna trap his arm. I could grab it with a forefinger. I could whizzer it like an overhook, right? But there's like a little tiny chance I get wrist locked. I like to just close it real tight. I use my free foot to square my hips under him. I put my feet almost together like I'm saying a prayer, and I square my hips up. Now I'm in a good position to trap and roll. The good thing about this is I'm not in his half guard. He's in my half guard. So as I bridge, I could take this outside hook out and my other leg isn't controlled. So as I bridge, boom, I could take my leg out, scissor, and come to my knees. Let's try one. I'm out on coach.
Show the legs.
Yeah, let's change the angle super. So he got me in half guard, but I got him in a smush. The arm that's underhooking, that's pinning him flat, he pinches. He switches his legs. Boom, he squares his hips up. Good, now I'm loaded. I can't take my leg out. I can't take my arm out. Now he's gonna bridge. Boom, and he's kind of clear, yeah, he's kind of clear to take it out whenever I kick out. Yeah. So no fear. What happens in that situation, if a person feels they're getting trap and rolled, there's nowhere for their bottom legs to go. They're gonna pull their upper body away. So if you fail at the trap and roll, what you're gonna end up making them do is create a bunch of space for you to get back your defenses in line and then sort of switching again from that defensive cycle to an offensive cycle. Good stuff.